In this tutorial in CyberLink PowerDirector, I'd like to share some tricks I've discovered that save me time as a video editor. The more you edit and the more complicated your projects get, the easier it is to get bogged down in finding and implementing the resources you have in that project. Let me show you some things that help me. Now, most of the tutorials that you see that I create, my media room is mostly empty, but not really. That's because I use a filter. I like to use this filter icon at the upper right corner. I click on it, and you can see it's set to videos only. I can also set it to audio only, or I can set it to images only. So it's a nice way to isolate what you have there, but that's not the only way. I'm going to go to all media. And here you see I have to drag down and sort through things to find what I want. There's several ways in which you can make that selection more precise besides using the filters. You can use a simple search. I can just type in WAV, and now there are my WAV files. I can type in MP3, and that's isolated my MP3 audio files. Now to click the X, it will make it go away. If I remember the name of something, I can type in all or part of the name of it. Maybe I remember it started with O, C, and well, this contains OC, clockwork, and this contains OC in the word ocean. So that's a way in which you can also sort. But there are other things that you can do to help you navigate the content of your media room, especially if you have a lot. One of the things you can do is click on the three dots, that's more, and you can change the view. Sometimes I go to extra large icons. Now this is helpful where you have elements that are similar but not quite identical. There might be two pictures, for example, of butterflies that are very similar to each other but slightly different. This allows me to see because I have more detail. It doesn't do much really for your audio files. The other thing you can do is go to a different kind of view called details. Now when I click on the details view, this gives me more information. Right here I have duration, and maybe I remember that the audio file I wanted to use was 2.5 minutes long. I can actually sort by clicking on the word duration, and this will sort from one shortest to longest, and I can reverse sort if I want. I can sort by size, reverse it. I can sort by the date it was modified. I can sort by the type. So these things are very helpful. So here's my deep blue ocean. I want to use that in this particular project with a surfer. I simply drag and drop it down like I would normally. So you can make these modifications as you find the best view possible for you to be able to use your resources effectively and save yourself some time. That's tip number one. Now right now it looks like I still have it sorted by type. And let me double check that. Sort by type. Okay, I want it that way. Here's another tip. If you want to drag a lot of stuff into your project at once, I'm going to move over here. Let's assume I want to make a slideshow of these images, even though in this case they're random. The images, I'm going to sort by JPEG. I'll type JPG. And now I'm going to click one and do Control A to select them all, and I'll drag them all down. Now what I have here is only images. Let's assume that I want the images in this thing that's going to look a little bit like a slideshow to be a certain length. And I want that standard. There's two ways you can make that happen. The easiest way is to click on your gear in the upper right corner. That's your settings. And then click on the second option down, which is editing. Now here you have the default duration of all these things. How long your titles will start with, your images, your transitions, effects, and subtitles. I use the transitions and images the most. So right now they're set for 5 seconds. Say I want 4. I can click the down arrow, or I can simply type in 4.0, and now the default is 4. The transitions right now are 1.5 seconds. Maybe I think they need to be a little longer. I'll type 2.0, press enter. I'll click on OK. Now I'm going to do what I did a minute ago, and we're going to take all of these and we'll bring them down onto the timeline. We'll enlarge this so we can see better. And if I click on this and click on the clock above the image, I see indeed it's 4 seconds long. So I've made my standard. And so if you want that kind of standardization, and you can change it as often as you want, it will only apply to any new thing that's added to your project. So if I decide from here on out, everything's going to be 6 seconds long for images, I can change it. It won't affect the ones that are already on the timeline. But let's look at something else that we can do with transitions in this case. And let's pull some transitions down. I'm going to click on my transitions, and I'm in my favorites. We're just going to take a handful of them and use them randomly here. I'll do one more. Okay, so I have transitions between these elements. And the transitions, if I click on any of them and click on the clock, I'll see the duration. I set them to 2 seconds a moment ago, but here's where I can change them again. This is unlike the other setting. This one will apply to every transition that's on the timeline. But if I want them uniform and I said 2 seconds doesn't work, I really want it 2.5 or 2 and 15 frames, I'll type in 15. And now if I click OK, it will only apply to the highlighted transition. But if I click this button here and click OK, now every transition now has its new default length. But if I bring another one in over here and click on the time, that is doing the 2 seconds because my gear said every new one is going to be 2 seconds. So that's a way in which you can change it, and even change it after you've pulled it onto the timeline to make them uniform. So that's a very simple way in which you can save a few seconds of time here and there to make your video editing go quicker in CyberLink PowerDirector.